welcome back, my wonderful, guests, to this conversation with Lucy Wanjiku Njenga. And before I do continue with the conversation, I must stop myself and introduce myself. My name is Moses, Moses Moy. I work with Development Dynamics, and I am the Innovations and Impact Analyst, but in this case, I am hosting a very wonderful guest who is telling her story of life. Beyond just the most pivotal moments in life, there's also the in-betweens that are equally important, that truly feed into the moments that we are like, oh wow, this is so amazing. Just looking at the events and the sequences that, presented what we now have as something that is shareable and inspiring at the same time. And just as a recap, Lucy has taken us through her childhood, or at least elements of her childhood, when she was in Nairobi, and then moving to Moranga, and sort of doing school for around a year while in Moranga, then coming back into Nairobi and doing quite a bit of shifting in schools, going to Lunga Lunga, and then going to Isili Airport for school, and then now where we are heading towards is the journey that eventually led to Nakuru. And so we would like to welcome you back, and maybe you can share with us what that transition was looking like. Yeah.
Thank you, Moses. I did class 2, class 3 in Isili Airport, and then at some point my mom got work in Nakuru.
Oh, that's what took you guys.
That's what took us there. So actually I did stay with my dad for some time before I could finish class 3 for like a term. And I think that was the first time I saw the man behind, that facade of, macho, and the one with the last word. And for once I could relate, and I could love him for who he was. And because we were living just the two of us, because my mother moved to Nakuru with my smaller brother. He had not even started school, I believe. So we had a system. He's a systems guy. He's an orderly guy, and I got to see that for the first time. There were times when he would come home from work. He was a mechanic. He would come home from work and for lunch, and then he would want food already served and waiting, and not too hot and not too cold, so that he can just eat and go back. And I remember there was a time my mom would like
She'd really be finding it, huh?
Should be finding the food, so, because she was late in cooking, and I just thought it was him like making life harder for us, but I understood it's a system he had put in his mind. So then when we were living together, I got to understand, as long as you follow the plans he has in his mind, it's just so much easier for everyone. Like you wake up at 7, you eat lunch at 1, you eat supper at 7, you sleep at 9. So that's a method he has honed, and considering he like came up with it himself, I just found it to be, for the first time I saw it, and it was so interesting. So I loved staying with him then, and we would talk and would wash clothes together on Saturday. I would be doing whatever it is I'm doing as a 9-year-old, and he would be helping. So those were interesting times. And then I moved and joined my mom in Nakuru, and I think he was left behind because of his work.
Because of his work. Oh yeah, because it's mom that got the job.
Oh, no.
Oh no, okay.
No, something happened.
Oh, okay.
Yes, there was a day he I think it's the loneliness or whatever, he brought home a young woman.
Okay.
And I was told, this is auntie. And I was so hurt. I don't know why I was hurt.
You were told this is auntie?
This is auntie.
Oh, when he
came home with this girl.
Okay, cool.
And when my mom came to visit, I could not wait to tell her. Like, until there was auntie here, and she spent the night.
Oh, wow.
And they had a huge fight, a really huge, bad fight. Like, everything in the house was broken after that. Neighbors were asking me, why did I tell my mom? And for the first time I felt, oh, so you mean some things are our responsibility as kids to keep. So I should not have said that this was happening. But it felt like such a betrayal, not just only to me, but also my mom. So I think they ended up broken.
That's
what led us to now, I think, going with my mom. I don't think there was ever a plan for me to go with my mom. But it was good anyway. So I went and joined Nakuru Lenana Primary School. Lenana is a school that was well known then.
Yeah.
I think now it's still known. I'm not
it's
so
still
sure.
known. Yeah, I think when you're in class 8, you're looking. Oh wait, for Lenana, I know the high school.
Yeah, so there's a primary school.
Yeah.
And it's close to the State House. So when the president would come, they would is it now called docking?
When the
landing? The
through,
choppers landing. They would land in our field.
Okay.
So like there was there was a small partitioning, but they would land on our field and then get into the State House. That was always interesting. The times of Kibaki, we really did enjoy. I wish he used to bring milk. That would have been really nice, but he didn't.
Oh, he never used to. Or maybe unless you'd have just waited up, you'd have come through a bit earlier, because Moi did that like heavily. Yeah.
So people would tell us the way he used to come with milk, and this one was not coming with milk. So it was interesting for some time, and then we get bored.
He was not a farmer. He'd come with madhafu, not necessarily with iria. So yeah, it's a bit different.
Yeah. So class 4 to class 8 was eventful. I was growing, learning. When I was in Isili Airport, I was like number 18, 20. I was not performing so well. But when I came here, I think because of that background here, Nairobi, I became number 1. In class 4, I was number 1 all the way to class 8. Either 1 or 2. There was a time I think I went up to number 7, and it was a whole thing. It was a whole case. So that's where, you know, Nakuru was still sort of rural in that regard, because this was not making sense. How could I be, you know,
like
average?
Yeah, average, and then suddenly
I'm
you're
leading.
a topper.
I'm leading.
But it feeds your confidence.
Yes, it did. It did. And we had this teacher, Mrs. Mokaya. I think now she goes with another name. She was my science teacher, and she told us this story of Ben Carson's. In class 4, she was a science teacher, and I thought I wanted to be a neurosurgeon because of Ben Carson's story.
Yeah, I think that story inspired a lot of
people.
Yeah.
And I tried so much in science. I got, at some point, I had 98 over 100. So I had really gotten that bug. But when she stopped teaching us, the bug went away. But maths, I was still failing.
She left the school?
No, she just stopped teaching us. Like, you know, the way you progress. Yeah. So at some point that stopped. But I really loved being in Lenana. I had a best friend called Maureen. And I've never met Maureen up to date. Maureen, if you're there, Lenana Primary School, class of 2005, reach out.
07911. Call. Okay.
I've never met her again, but she made school so interesting because they were sort of well-to-do. Like they were middle class compared to us, and she would bring her food was in hot pots. You know, hot pots was not a thing, but she had hot pot. Like food was still a bit warm, and it was every day there was a change of food, like sweet foods like minji and mchele, and me for some reason I always had ugali and skuma. And she wanted that.
So she did.
So we'd exchange.
Oh wow!
I hope her mom does not hear that.
I'm curious to know though, because ugali and sukuma, I think for lunch,
because we cooked it at supper, so every supper was ugali.
That,
that's what you carry the next day.
But I'm just thinking, ugali for lunch, you'll black out. You'll be asleep in class, you know. I hope she did well in her classes.
She did well. She used to do well.
Yeah.
And for that element, I think I really loved being her friend because I had exposure to different ways of cooking that you are not doing.
Yeah. And so that was, is that where primary ended? Or
yes. So
that's where primary ended.
Class 4 to class 8, I did in Lenana Primary.
And then now you entered, did you do high school in Nakuru?
No. So after that, we went back to Nairobi. So it was when I was in class 7, you remember me and my overthinking of life. I used to wonder, so what happens? And I would look around my family and think, no one has gone to high school. Only one cousin of mine had gone to high school, and I think uni, but that was that. But I don't think she even finished uni. So I was like, probably even I want to go to high school. So I started having, conversation with my parents because I'm now maturing.
At least you feel like you
Like
are.
I am. I told them that I would want to do a tailoring course, so that I can start making money. So after class 8, they don't have to worry about taking me to high school. Where? I don't know why I did that, but I was given a hell of a talk down.
Oh, okay. Oh, I thought you were going to say a beating. I said, okay, that can be
I
a
think
solution.
a beating was there somewhere. Maybe I've forgotten.
Maybe, yeah, just because of being shocked.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
Tap, and then the talk. Right?
But for me, I was thinking, oh, I'm helping the family. But for them, they thought maybe I wanted to get married, or maybe there was a boy telling me, we need to start life or something like that. But
it's so interesting. Communication is such a, between, because yeah, I think a lot of rebellion that comes from young people is as a response to how parents are responding to what they are trying to say.
yes.
And then also parents then also have this thing of what is going on with these people, and that miscommunication is so huge, especially, and it's something so common within those years.
Yes.
And just hearing how it's expressed, at least in your term, it's interesting. When you're outside looking in and you're not involved in it, you have a bit of space and grace to think about it, and that's how I feel like I am just hearing that small
Yes.
element. It's just very interesting.
Yes.
Yeah.
So for I think for it to make sense, I wanted to run away from home in that time. Because they even said I'm pregnant, that's why I'm sleeping all the time. So a lot was said. I didn't have a boyfriend, I wasn't looking at boys. I didn't want anything to do with boys, actually. I think because of the trauma I was coming with, the sexual trauma I was coming with, so I didn't want boys. I didn't find boys cute. Or interested in them when others were busy getting letters. I think I got a letter once, and I marked it and returned it to the person who had sent it.
You marked it? Oh, okay, that's how much you loved English. Okay, cool. You're like, well, it's like, no, there's no punctuation before love. Okay,
I think I was just being mean, so that he wouldn't
This is in high
pursue.
school,
This
yeah?
is in class 7.
Oh, class 7.
When I'm also having these discussions with my parents.
Yeah.
So when I went back to class 8, I just decided I want to shave my hair. And for the first time, I just shaved everything. Now I'm realizing it's sort of a molting thing for me. It's like I shed off the skin that has become old and get into a new skin. That's what I'm understanding it at the age I am at now. But then it didn't make sense to me. So I shaved off that hair and went back, and people were laughing and making jokes and making fun. Teachers, students alike, because I was bald. And the way you saw my photos, I was tall and skinny, and now with a long neck and shaved hair.
Yeah, I was like, oh my, yes. People are laughing at you, unfortunately, for such a beautiful and bold thing to do. Quote unquote. I mean, no pun intended, rather. Yeah.
And so I finalized my class 8. People had high hopes in my performing, but somehow KCP showed me dust, and I just performed averagely. And then we moved now back to Nairobi to join my mom, who was working in Nairobi, and then start high school. So because all of us, like the 3 kids, were starting school in a new place, we prioritized the babies. So my small sister went to nursery, and my brother, I think, was going to class 4. So I was going to Form 1, and that was put in the backseat. But since I had already now like made that mental note, or had I don't know what's the word to use, I had decided that school is what is keeping me here. Remember, I wanted to run away. But if it's school that is keeping me here, if I'm changing the narrative for my family, having someone else join high school and hopefully uni, then I would do my best to be the best child there is, to just finish my schooling. So I pushed my mom, and she found a school. It was called Amani Neighborhood Watch for Orphans and Vulnerable Children. So it was not a school per se. So if you are in in Eastlands, you understand when we say community schools. So it's just maybe me and you, or just you as Moses deciding there's a gap here. Many kids are finishing class 8 and they're not going to high school, because high schools, in as much as they are said to be free, it's not free per se. There are those money creeps that come in that you need to chuck huge amounts of money. And also, like, if you're starting school, you need to have everything, all the uniform, you know, so it's a bit expensive
hard,
to start.
It's not an easy entry point.
So someone just decides, let me create a version that is cheaper for these kids, and then the ones who are finished Form 4 and don't have anywhere to go become the teachers. So that was what this school was about. And I joined Form 1, and I would not even care if we were going under a tree or wherever. I would not care. I wanted to just be in school learning. And that school gave me just that. I got to learn about things like Bunsen and Banner, things I would never have learned if I never went to school. That Form 1 went well. Then the school had some, I think it was a partnership, and they had some issues, and the school was closed.
Yeah.
But then we were told someone else within that partnership has started a school in Dandora. So we were living in Huruma then. Actually, when we came back from Nakuru, we went to live in Huruma. Yeah. So someone said there's a school in Dandora. So we all went to that Dandora school, most of the ones who were in Amani. My friend then was Mso. She used to plait my hair that was now growing. That's where she was training. And I had all the crazy styles you can think. And that went on for some time until I started work. I know MaqC can't remember me with cornrows, and one cornrow being red or white or blue.
Used to do
so
those.
that's where my personality was shining through.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so we went to that school. Then it ended again. Then I had to look for another school, and I got a community school called Nairobi Girls. In Nairobi Girls, I enjoyed being in this school. It had better teachers compared with the previous schools. And then somehow the teacher said the teacher or director said he saw leadership in me, and in Form 3 he made me the head girl. That was never heard of in that school, because most head girls were from Form 4, so that you demand that respect. So I refused to be the head girl, but he said, no matter what you're saying, you're the head girl of this school. And he announced, and I had to do parade sessions, addressing the parade,
Like facilitating that whole type of a thing.
It was so weird.
Something interesting that's coming to mind about that, because you would feel then that was, did you feel like that was the right decision for the
No, I refused.
Right, and so the flip side of that would be, is it about making the right decision or making the decision right? You know what I mean? Where it's actually taking ownership and agency of an opportunity given. And that was a very, I think there's a lot to say about what the head teacher saw. And today, I guess there's also a lot to thank the teacher for. You know, because you have taken agency and ownership of your story, and thus you share it today. So that's, so just throwing that in there.
So that school also had issues, and it was closed down. Oh no, it wasn't closed.
That's not the one that was closed.
The other one was closed, Amani. So Nairobi Girls had issues, yes, but then at the same time, we were moving because of my dad's job to Kikuyu.
Oh, okay, so now this is, okay.
Yes,
yes. Wow, you really shifted.
I really shifted in my childhood. So Kikuyu, the road was being made. The road that you now enjoy, he was part of making that road.
Oh, okay.
Yes,
wow.
yes. So that's why we had to move. And then they started with the smaller children, like my siblings. So they went to school. And I kept waiting, and I was told, don't worry, you'll be taken to boarding school even. You don't have to do day school anymore. Oh, I was so excited, because all my life, yes, I wanted to go to a boarding school. I waited term 1, I waited term 2, and term 3 was starting, and still had not gone to school. So I ran away. I realized nothing would come out of this. Waiting, being good, I was like the help in the house. I was doing the cooking, the cleaning. I would cook, take food to my siblings. I was wasting away literally. And remember, the only reason I was staying home is because of school. So when I got tired of the waiting, I just decided, let me run away to my granddad. Remember, I told you he was sort of my safe haven. So I went to Shago and told him all I wanted was school. So if he knows anyone who can take me to school, we should approach them and see if they can pay for my schooling. So we approached my auntie, the one who stayed with me when I was 5, and she wanted to, then she didn't. So that didn't pan out. We tried looking for a few of my granddad's friends. No one was willing. I think the issue was my mom was really feared. I don't know why, but for some reason she was really feared. So they were like, we are shying away from helping because we don't know how that will impact back to us. So everyone was just shying away. And then my mom, I think, felt like there's something she could do. So she sent some money, but the school had found wanted more than what she gave. So I didn't end up getting into the school. And then she asked I go back home, and I went back home. They had now moved from Kikuyu to Dandora.
Okay. There was a road there.
No.
Oh, okay. No.
I don't know what happened.
Okay.
And it was like 2-3 weeks and they had already moved. So I didn't know what was happening. I came back and we were in Dandora. During that time, my dad had called my grandpa and they had exchanged some bitter words. Some bitter words were said. So my dad was not looking at me kindly. I think this was a shock for them. They expected, since I was nice, this did not matter. But really, at the end of the day, this is something they didn't know I was going towards.
Yeah.
So I came back, looked for another school, a community school. I don't remember the name, but that's where I did my Form 4. Then again, I shaved bald.
So just again, this is you responding to what you're recognizing as significant moments of your life. But you still do not know that's what it is.
I don't know then.
That's also very interesting, just
so
to say.
I went bald and I said I have to finish this Form 4. I would leave home at 6. It was a walking distance and come back at, I think, 9. So school didn't have electricity. So I would wait for that light, the daylight, and start reading. So I would read on my own. That was even worse than the first school that I ever went to in Form 1. In terms of teacher, like we had one good teacher, the maths teacher. For once in my life, maths made sense. Mr. Nick, I heard he passed away, but that teacher really made me enjoy maths. For the first time, I had 50%.
God bless his family.
I know,
Sure.
I know. Yeah, but he was dealing with addiction. I think that's the reason why something happened.
Okay.
Then I finished, because this was sort of a school. The schools come together and identify one school as a center for KCSE.
Okay.
So there's a system to these community schools by the end of the day. So the center was Outer Ring High School, and we all went there to do our KCSE. That's the first day I was seeing a Bansembana. I'd only seen it in books.
And you're doing Form 4?
Yes, I'm doing KCSE.
Okay.
That's the first day I'm seeing it. Most things, the beakers, the whatever, outside the book. Now they were here. I took everything in chemistry to the Bansembana. Everything I could concoct, I would just go because of the excitement of it. Just thank God nothing exploded.
So you
in
enjoyed
my
chemistry?
Face. Not really. Just I'm a curious person.
What was that subject for you that you really enjoyed in high school?
English, still English.
Oh, still languages.
Yes, languages. English, history. Also really enjoyed history, learning, placing things, placing moments in time where they happened. That really just gets me really excited, just
That's
understanding
really cool.
new things.
I think, when puzzle pieces fall in together, it has an aha moment.
Yes, yes.
Which is
Those
very invigorating.
Those are the times I look forward to. So I finished Form 4. But there's something that happened. This was in 2010. In 2009, now when I came back, where they were staying, there was this neighbor boy. And I thought he was cute. Then I would start having dreams about him.
Okay, that's deep.
So by the time he approached me, he had already set a way for himself by just existing. And we got into some sort of a relationship. I don't know if we can call it a relationship. He never asked, will you be my girlfriend per se, but I was his girlfriend. The reason why this was even more interesting is because at this time I had decided I want to become a nun. So remember me and thinking broadly and next step. I've always thought of the next step. What is the next step for me?
And your next step was?
So I'm not going to college, we know. We have seen the struggle with high school.
That time, okay.
Yeah. Yes, we know. So I'm not going to uni or college, we know. So what happens when I have this Form 4 certificate? So that's what I was looking for. And I thought I could be a nun. I don't like kids. I like kids, but I don't want to have kids of my own. I don't like men. I don't want to have a husband.
But I don't. You love Jesus. And so maybe I should be a nun. No, no.
Yes, I love Jesus, and Jesus makes sense. Jesus helps, and I love helping. I find it easy for me to just help people, to understand and empathize with people's pain, because I don't know if it's because of all the pain I've had, but I've always had a soft spot for people who are going through life and its challenges and trying to make sense of their existence.
Right.
And that seemed to make sense.
That resonated very strongly.
So I started even catechism classes.
Yes.
Up Kariobangi North Catholic Church. And he told me, when we started talking, when he asked me, so what do you want to do? And I told him I want to be a nun. He told me he wanted to be a priest.
Was that intentional for vibes?
I don't know.
Okay, because that's quick thinking.
That's very quick thinking, right? Yeah. So yeah, that worked so well for us, because now he was my friend who we were going to serve Jesus together.
Yeah. The Lord must have been pleased.
I don't know what happened, and it was no longer church. It became intimate, and I lost my virginity to him. And I was thinking, I'm now 18, so maybe I make better decisions. We are told when you're 18, you make better decisions, right?
Yeah.
And
it comes with the ID.
Yes, you know, I even got the ID while I was still in high school, as Form 3 actually, because I had that 1 year out of school.
Correct.
So I thought it would work out. It would work out. I mean, so when sex happened, I was like, okay, then maybe Jesus forgive me, God forgive me, then let's think of him as my husband. I don't know why that was so important to me, for God to find me worthy. Like I wanted to try my hardest at all times for him to see me as a worthy child, never as a broken child who needs helping and saving, always as worthy of his love. Maybe it's because I was trying so much to get love from everyone else and not getting it. And that's why this boy, it was so easy for us to even connect, and for me to think whether he was lying or not, that he was telling the truth, because all I wanted was love. I was hungry, I was starving for love. So the relationship continued. In Form 4 now, after I registered for my KCSE, I stopped going to school. I decided even this school is not giving me what I need. So let me just go and continue reading for myself. So I would go to the library in Kariobangi North Church, the Catholic Church. So I would do catechism and then get into the library and do my studying on my own. It did work, and that's how I started now looking for other opportunities. Now it seemed so clear, like without even money, how do you even survive? If I want to finish KCSE and move, how would I survive? So I saw this beauty pageant, a call for models, and this young man had brought confidence in me to see for the first time, to see myself as a beautiful person. I did not have that. I never looked in the mirror and said, wow, you're so beautiful. I never looked at my body when people were saying, oh, you have such a nice figure, because I was very skinny. It didn't make sense what that meant. This was not something I ever had. If anything, I used to hear, I'm too tall. I would be called camel. giraffe, you know, and not in a mocking way, funny
Just
way, let's
more
laugh.
like banter type of
You
a
know,
thing,
it's
yeah.
just like you being told this is the reality, and I would be told my legs are too skinny. We are women and girls, just like we use our ears to make sense of the world. So what I was hearing was making a different sense of the world, and it impacted me as a person so deeply. So I didn't see myself as beautiful. And then he came, he said I was beautiful. Every day he would tell me I'm beautiful. Every day he would tell me he loves me. Those are things I didn't hear from the people I should have heard from. So that made it so easy for this relationship to grow towards where he was gearing it towards. He became like a father, a boyfriend, a mother, all in one person. And a friend at the same time. So by the time he was saying sex has to happen, you don't even have the necessary words to say no or to even negotiate for condom use.
Both your feet are deep in the pool, and you're basically in there now.
Yes.
Pretty much, yeah.
Yes. So before I finished now in August. So I had started from May to now November when I was doing my KCSE. I started now looking for other avenues other than just going to study on my own. In August is when they had that call for models in 2010 now. They called for models, and yes, I was thinking I'm a model now. He said I was a model. So I went and I was selected. And then started training. So I would do morning sessions. I would do the library. In the afternoon, I'll be training for the beauty pageant, Miss Dimes. And then we did it in August, and I won. I became Miss Dimes. What do you mean? I cried that day on that stage because I didn't expect. There were so many experienced young women in that group, and people, you know, who came the last week because they didn't need training. They knew this is what they wanted. They had done so many. It was obvious they would win. But I think what made me win was my speech, because we were talking about what you would do after you win. And I was getting really fascinated with people living with disabilities, and especially those who are deaf. So I was thinking, if I'm a nun, then I can be sent to one of these schools to teach. Just be far away from the world and just give myself to these kids. Actually, I figured that out when I was in high school.
Yeah, I was going to ask,
when I was in primary. Lenana Primary, we went to music festival, and there were deaf kids.
Oh, wow.
And I just enjoyed that world that was silent and not so silent, and so removed from everything. Like I had heard so much, I didn't want to hear even anything anymore.
Wow.
So when they asked us in this speech, what do you want to do? I thought I want to, create a better community and environment for those who are deaf. I did even do some sign language at some point.
You did?
Yes, I did. But that was not where I was supposed to be. So I won that. And then there was no money, there was no connection, there was no nothing.
I was just walking.
Just walking and that experience, and now being called Miss Dimes.
Yeah.
And that's it. So I joined Miss Koch in October.
Right.
October, I think it was just immediately after this I went. So we trained for September, and then October we did the Miss Koch, and I won as well. So Miss Koch was good because it was...
So there's like a sway that you had in your walker?
Must be. Mostly I just think it was the way I used to talk. Probably I was just telling stories the way I'm telling stories now.
Oh, and then they'd resonate.
Yes.
Which is interesting, because then there's more than meets the eye.
Yeah.
Right? That's the idea.
Yeah, that's the idea.
So she's expressing her walk with power, but her words are showing something that is, complementing so much more.
Yes, above the walking and looking pretty. So I knew with Miss Koch I would probably get a job because they were an NGO in the community in Korogosho. And I could not now. I had a reason now to finish Form 4, the KCSE, knowing there's something that would be waiting for me, at least a job with them. That was November, I don't know, November what? November 30th is when we used to finish, or November 20-something there, we finished KCSE. I realized because I had booked exams and left, they switched history with business studies.
Okay.
And I was not good at business studies.
Yeah, you were good at history.
Yes.
You literally said it. Yeah.
Yes. So I was so angry that day. I went and found my boyfriend and just stayed with him for that day. And I think that's the day I got pregnant.
Oh, okay, you can pinpoint that frustration went out and the bed broke.
1st of December, as we Scotch, we are doing World AIDS Day walk in the community. I don't even know what that means, but I joined the team.
Yeah.
I'm feeling so bad. I'm feeling so sick. What's happening?
Right, I hear you.
So I'm thinking in my head, maybe malaria, maybe homa. Day 2, I can't stand any smell. That is 2nd of December. I can't stand smells. I hate every smell on this planet. Day 3, I am puking. I am vomiting day and night. I didn't have to test. I knew I was pregnant. Because I had told him we need to start using contraceptive, and he was like, no, it will ruin your body. And he was the decision maker. I knew he was the decision maker.
You entrusted yourself unto him.
Yes. I don't know where I got that notion. That's why I always speak to girls and tell them, your body is your body.
That's one thing that you try to do.
Yes, your own responsibility. Stop giving that responsibility to someone else. No one told me that then, but I'm telling you now. Don't let someone else make these decisions for you, especially if you're not making it with them. They're making it for you. And it's your body. It is your life. So yeah, with pregnancy now that I could not work, I could not do anything. Like all I did was get sick day and night, day and night, day and night. So that made me feel so disappointed in myself. And I knew that people would be disappointed in me as well. I didn't know how to tell my parents, but eventually they figured it out. There was a point where I thought my mom could do anything, so I ran away back to my grandpa.
Or in terms of like violently, you know, about your situation.
Yeah.
Right.
So I went and
I told Guka?
No, I didn't tell him. But he took me to Hosi because I was too sick. He didn't understand what was happening. That's when he was told it's pregnancy. I remember he was told, I have to say this in Kikuyu because it makes more sense. Mutumia wakwena ihu. Like they figured I am the wife to my grandpa. Mutumia wakwena ihu. Your wife is pregnant. And where would you even start to say this is your grandkid and pregnancy is the last thing? So I had to go back home. He called my mom and I was called back home. And shortly after, my boyfriend was called by my dad and told, come pick your wife. So just like that, I became wife. And he tried. He sold his phone. He had a smartphone. He sold his phone, got, I think, some good money, took a house. It was a small house in Dandora, around 800 shillings, and we moved in and started life. And waited for the baby to come, with no idea what we'll do when the baby comes.
So how were you getting by then? Was he working at the time, or was he being supported? Was there some level of support coming in?
No.
Okay.
There was no support, and also he didn't have a job per se. I think he was 20 or 21.
Oh, wow.
So in real sense, he's a child as well.
And you were?
I was 19.
You were 19.
Yeah.
Okay.
So he would do as much as his brain would tell him. He was around 20. He was 1 year older. He would do as much as he thought was necessary.
Yeah.
But we struggled with paying rent, with having food. Sometimes I'd just sleep hungry, and just waiting for better. I don't know where the better was coming from, but we just had to wait because I would not also work. By the time I would feel good enough to walk, I would walk home because there's not even that money of getting transport to home.
Wow.
But
okay.
we were in Dandora Phase 4, and my mom was in Dandora Phase 1.
Yeah.
So it wasn't so bad. You could walk.
Yeah.
And I would get some food and also come back with some food. Those were the days that I would leave the house. So eventually I gave birth. And on this day, I didn't even know what happens when you're giving birth. No one had ever told me, and had never asked. So when my water broke, I thought I was peeing on myself. And I felt so strange, like, so why am I peeing on myself? So I went to the toilet trying to pee, but there was no pee. But there's no pee, but there's some sort of water. And then I figured, oh, my water broke. We didn't have anything we had bought for my child, like nothing. We didn't have anything. There was no leftover money to buy anything. So not a single pair of socks, not a shawl, not nothing. The previous night he had slept hungry, so he had gone to sell his radio. He had a good radio, I don't know who gifted it to him. So he had gone to sell it. Kwa mtaa we have these people called, is it second-hand sellers? I don't remember the name we used to give them.
Yeah. But that's who ideally then would be able to sort of
take it, just
to push this for you.
Yeah.
Okay. And so that's what you
so
guys
he came
used.
back, and yeah, it wasn't enough, I think. He just came back with milk and bread, and I tried eating hurriedly as he tried to figure out where we would go, because we had never even discussed where we would go, where the hospital would go to. Like, we're just living by grace, day by day, in total oblivion of what is happening around us. I think it's a coping mechanism of sorts. When you don't know what to do, you do the next best thing, just survive, live for the day. We went to Hosi. This Hosi was like a clinic that was beside now Dandora Stadium. Then it was just a field. Now it's Dandora Stadium. It was just beside it. And we walked through the stadium. This is where Miss Dimes had happened.
Okay.
And I was thinking to myself, 1 year ago I was on that stage.
And now you're walking through this.
I don't know what I'm walking into. Like this, I had no idea what I was walking into. But I delivered safely, and he called my mom, and my mom came and paid the bill and came with clothes. Like, she was really excited for this.
She's a grandmother now.
She's a grandma.
Yeah, it's
either way, she went to, and there were those yellow paper bags. I don't know if you found them. Yes, those yellow paper bags, and she came with it. Felt like Superman walking in to save you. I felt so nice. I cried tears of joy because I didn't know if she would come. Anyway, this was totally on me. This was a mess I had made on my own. And remember the way I tell you, I think I have to be worthy of people's love or people coming in for me. So that's why I didn't even ask for help or tell anyone what I was going through. Miss Koch, I just stopped talking to them, changed my phone number. Like, they even came home, tried calling, and because I was always sitting on the balcony, I ran back inside.
Oh, you could see them coming.
I could see them there calling, wanting to talk to someone, but I was too ashamed.
They wanted to reach out to sort of give opportunity, because you said it was an NGO.
Yes, maybe. They were just wondering why I was not going, but this was even bigger than me. And we used to have these conversations of abstain.
Oh, you were like you were an advocate for such.
I do want to abstain, but how do you tell your boyfriend you want to abstain when you're already having sex? And then if he leaves and is the only person who has ever loved me, then I thought I needed to be loved.
The human experience of stuff. The human experience of stuff.
Like, a baby boy came in June of 2011.
Yeah. And
my mom took me to her friend's house where at least there was electricity, because in this house we didn't have electricity, and I had at least a bed. There was just cleanliness. You know, there's a way a clean house just gives you joy, and it was perfect for my new baby boy. And we stayed there for a month, and my mom's friend was tired because she thought it should be something that was short term, before my now husband would come for me. But I think for him, he felt some sort of relief. So he was not doing anything about it or planning for us to come back. The house we were living was actually locked, and all our things were put out. So there was that. So there was no place we were going to. So we had to go back to live with my mom. And my dad was not happy about that. So there was that push and pull, until now I I started thinking of how I was going to get myself out of this situation.